Take a look at this headline. It says, quote, "Why I Sacrificed to Pay Back My Student Loans." Kate Hirzel wrote that, as you can see, campus reform correspondent, joining me now. Kate, you're calling these loan handouts a slap in the face, essentially. Why? What makes you so angry?
Well, it's extremely frustrating as a recent graduate. I took out $28,000 in student loans, and I knew that it was my responsibility to pay them back. I chose my college for financial reasons, and I worked multiple jobs to make sure that I would graduate with minimal loans. I even started paying back my loans when I didn't have to. And what I mean by that is I'm a 2020 graduate, and we've paused student loan repayments for federal student loans since March 2020 because of the pandemic.
So you have a lot of friends who are just recently out of college. What do they say? Do they feel the same way as you?
Well, Biden's policies is actually incentivizing recent graduates not to do the right thing and repay their debts. For me personally, the reason why I started paying them back so soon is I wanted to pay off my high interest loans, and I also wanted to pay back my unsubsidized loans so that when student loan repayments started again, I'd be in a good financial place. Instead, when I told my friends and family what I was doing, they thought I was crazy. They said Biden might forgive $10,000 or more in student debt. And so that's exactly what's happening here. I'm a recent graduate telling you that we're being incentivized not to pay back our loans and instead have the taxpayers do it back instead.
Yeah, which is terrible. I was reading your article, and in part of that, you say there is a disconnect between students realizing going to college and actually accepting debt is something that they're going to have to pay back. You believe that's true?
Absolutely. At the Leadership Institute's campus reform, my whole job is speaking to college students. And a lot of college students don't know what loans they're taking out, they don't know how much their college costs, and they don't even have a plan for how they're going to repay their loans after they graduated. The Brookings Institute released a study that only 52% of college students even know what loans they took out their freshman year. This is definitely a problem with Biden's policy, is that he's not focusing on the cost of higher education, but instead incentivizing college students to not know what loans they're taking out and and rely on the taxpayer instead to pay them back instead.
What part of this do you think, Kate, is perhaps the cost of going to college is out of control and could even go higher from here? Is that part of what's at play here?
I think one of the biggest problems is that students aren't just sitting down and actually looking at the loans they're taking out in the first place. I sat down with my parents and I discussed the options I had for college. And my mother's a master's degree. She had loans when she graduated. And my stepfather chose not to go to college. He's a railroad engineer. And we discussed the options and how much debt I could pay back after I graduated. My dream school was $6,000 more a year. And my other school that I ended up going to was Albion College, just gave me a lot of financial scholarships. I simply couldn't justify graduating with $24,000 more in debt, and so I chose Albion College. Looking at Biden's policies now, I don't know if I would have done the same smart financial decision that I did back then.
Well, I think you made some very good decisions, and congratulations on getting rid of that college debt and not having to rely on a handout. Kate Hirzel, thank you so much. Very interesting indeed.